I wake up to my phone buzzing on the nightstand. It's 7:30 a.m., but I've already snoozed the alarm twice. I didn't sleep well, as usual. My mind races, thinking about bills, rent, the cost of gas, the food I still need to buy for the week. It's like a constant weight, like a low hum in the background of my thoughts, always there, always looming. I drag myself out of bed and stand in front of the bathroom mirror. My reflection seems tired, older than it should be, but I can't afford to care about that right now. I try to shake off the grogginess, knowing that if I stay in this haze too long, I'll be late for work. My shift starts at 9 o'clock, but I need to make breakfast first, and I still haven't figured out if I can afford anything more than cereal. There's no more milk, so I'll have to use water. It's not the most satisfying meal, but it's all I have. As I pour the last of the cereal into the bowl, I glance at my bank account on my phone. The number makes my stomach drop. I've been living paycheck to paycheck for months, but seeing the empty balance is like staring into the abyss. I wonder how long I can keep going like this. When did it become normal for my stomach to be in knots just thinking about paying for groceries or gas? When did it become normal to feel like I'm constantly running out of time and space? I sit down at the kitchen table, the cereal crunching softly as I chew, but I hardly taste it. My mind is too busy. I have to pay my car insurance this week, and I don't have enough for rent yet either. My paycheck isn't due for another 4 days, but I don't know how I'm going to stretch this one until then. I start doing the math in my head, calculating if I can put off one expense or borrow from a friend to cover something else. I can feel the pressure tightening around my chest. It's suffocating, but I keep eating. What else is there to do? There's no magic solution. I just have to keep pushing forward, even when the horizon feels like it's miles away. At work, it's the same as always. The same tired faces, the same endless tasks. I'm a barista at a local coffee shop, which isn't a bad job, but it's not the dream I had when I was younger. When I was in high school, I thought I'd be something different by now. I thought I'd be on my way to a career, not struggling to cover basic living expenses. But here I am, 24 years old, with a degree I can't afford to use. I had big plans once, things like traveling, buying a house, saving for the future. But those dreams feel like distant fantasies now, things I put on hold because there's no room for them in the equation of my life. I try to push the thoughts away, focusing on my customers, but the clock keeps ticking, and the pressure doesn't let up. Every time someone orders a fancy latte or a croissant, I feel like I'm caught in a trap. They're spending money with ease, and here I am, counting every penny, wondering if I'll have enough to get through the month. I take a deep breath as I hand a coffee cup over the counter to a regular, plastering on my best smile. Here you go, enjoy. I say, even though inside, I feel like I'm suffocating. The rest of the shift drags on, and I don't have time to think much more about the numbers, the bills, the future. The only thing I have time to do is get through the day. But when the shift ends, when I leave the coffee shop and step out into the crisp evening air, the weight of everything comes back to me, heavier than before. I walk to my car, my tired legs aching, and I wonder if I'll ever get out of this cycle. Will I ever be able to save up enough for a vacation, for a home, for any of the things I dreamed about when I was younger? I head home, the drive quiet and lonely. It's hard not to feel trapped. Every time I think I'm starting to make progress, I get hit with another bill, another unexpected cost. There's always something. Sometimes I wonder if it's even possible to break free from the grip of this system. The cost of living goes up, but wages don't keep pace. It feels like I'm always behind, always struggling to catch up, and the gap just keeps growing. It's exhausting. And I'm not even sure who to be mad at, corporations? The government? The system that keeps rewarding those who already have enough, while those of us who are just trying to survive get squeezed tighter and tighter? At home, I flop down on the couch and pull out my phone. I scroll through Instagram, but it just makes things worse. Everyone seems to be living their best lives, vacations, new clothes, happy moments that feel so far out of reach for me. I know it's just social media, that people only post the highlights, but it still stings. I scroll past photos of friends buying houses, getting married, having kids. I wonder if I'll ever be able to afford those things. I wonder if I'll ever get to feel secure, like I have a real place in the world. I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this. Everyone is struggling, right? It's just the way things are now. But it doesn't make the feelings of hopelessness go away. It doesn't make it any easier to sit with the knowledge that the future I dreamed of has slipped through my fingers, replaced by endless financial stress and a sense of survival. I close my eyes for a moment and try to imagine a different life, a life where I'm not counting pennies, where I'm not drowning in bills. I picture traveling to new places, living in a home that I own, not rent. Maybe I could write for a living, or create something that gives me the freedom to do what I love. But even as I picture it, I feel the weight of reality crushing it all. Dreams that feel too big for me now, dreams that seem impossible. I remind myself, though, that I'm doing my best. That's all I can do. I try to focus on the small victories, like getting through another week without completely falling apart, or finding a way to stretch my last dollar until payday. These little moments of survival are what keep me going, even when everything else feels out of reach. But sometimes, when I'm lying in bed at night, my eyes wide open, I wonder, how long can I keep going like this? How much longer will I be able to keep pushing, to keep pretending that everything is okay when I know it's not? I don't know the answer. But I keep moving forward, one step at a time, even if it feels like I'm stuck. I just hope that someday, maybe not tomorrow, but someday, I'll be able to look back and see that it was all worth it. That somehow, I made it out of this system alive, and maybe even better for it. Until then, though, I'll just keep pushing through. Because what else can I do? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing beside me, the blue light cutting through the dimness of my bedroom like a blade. It was 6:30 a.m., and the day was already demanding my attention. I rolled over, squinting at the screen, seeing an email from my bank reminding me that I was still $200 short of being able to pay my rent on time. I groaned, threw the covers off, and sat on the edge of the bed. This was becoming a routine. I can't remember when it started feeling like this, like I was drowning and nobody was offering me a lifeline. Maybe it was a year ago, maybe more. All I know is that it didn't used to be like this. Back when I first moved out of my parents' house, I thought it was supposed to be empowering, this whole adulting thing. But now? Every single day feels like a race I can't win. My job at the cafe has never been glamorous. It's not even close to what I imagined I'd be doing at 24, but I've had to swallow that. I'm one of the lucky ones, they say. I have a job. There are so many people out there without work. So I should be grateful, right? And I am. But the constant pressure of scraping by on tips, the minimum wage barely covering half my bills, and the unspoken fear of the next expense creeping up, it's exhausting. Today's agenda looks like every other day. I'll spend a few hours waiting on customers, then go home and try to figure out what to eat that won't completely drain my bank account. It's the same cycle: work, eat, sleep, and repeat. Each step feels like it's taking me further away from the dreams I used to have, of traveling, owning a little house, starting a family. I've had to put them all on hold. Every time I think I might be able to make progress, there's another bill, another cost of living increase, another unexpected fee. It's like someone's pulling the rug out from under me just as I think I've gotten my footing. I think about all the things I used to look forward to. There was a time when I wanted to go back to school, to finish the degree I started. But that feels like an impossible dream now. Between the student loans I already owe and the cost of tuition climbing higher every year, I can't see how it would ever make sense. How would I even afford books? Or a new computer, which I'd need for assignments? The thought of taking on more debt right now makes my stomach turn. So instead, I just keep pushing it aside, pretending it's not there. But it is. Sometimes I try to talk about it with my friends. They're all in the same boat, it seems, struggling in their own ways. But there's this unspoken rule we all follow: we pretend like everything's okay. No one talks about how impossible it feels. No one talks about how it's always a constant game of juggling, where one slip up, one emergency trip to the doctor or a car repair, could be enough to knock us out of the game for good. We don't talk about the anxiety that hits when the electricity bill comes in or when the rent due date creeps closer than you expect. We don't talk about the crushing weight of knowing that even though you work so hard, your income will never match the pace at which everything else keeps rising. It's an endless cycle, and I can't figure out how to break it. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I'll open up a new tab and search for jobs. I look at listings for better paying positions, ones that might require more experience or a degree. But then I remember the reality: even if I did land one of those jobs, the cost of living in this city would eat up most of that extra income. I'd still be just scraping by. And it's terrifying to think that, no matter how hard I work, it might never be enough. I have this recurring nightmare where I'm still stuck in this place years from now, never having made the progress I hoped for. I see myself in a tiny apartment, my car breaking down again, my savings account still empty. My heart starts to race just thinking about it. And then I wake up, usually with a pounding headache from stress, and it's the same story. It doesn't change. I cope with it the best I can. There's a bottle of cheap wine tucked in the back of my cupboard for the nights when I feel like I need to numb out the thoughts, but I've tried to cut back on that. Alcohol doesn't solve the problem, I remind myself. It just makes the hole in my chest feel a little deeper the next day. So I write instead. It's a small thing, but writing helps me process the frustration, the fear, the exhaustion. I write about my day, about how my tips were low and how I didn't even have the energy to smile at the customers. I write about how my friend's birthday is coming up and I can't even afford to buy her a decent gift, so I'll probably just get her a card and hope that's enough. There are days when the weight feels lighter, when I'm able to block out the anxiety for a little while. When I find joy in small moments, like when my dog curls up beside me on the couch or when I get a compliment from a regular customer. But those moments are fleeting, and soon enough, the reality of everything else catches up to me. The bills, the missed opportunities, the dreams that seem to slip further away with each passing day. I don't know what the future holds. Some days, I think I'll find a way to break free, that somehow, something will click, and I'll be able to leave this cycle behind. Other days, it feels like the walls are closing in. My anxiety keeps me up at night, and the fear of being stuck forever gnaws at me. But I keep going. I don't know why, but I do. Maybe it's the hope that things will eventually get better, that all this hard work will lead to something more than just surviving. Maybe it's the belief that one day, I'll look back on this time and see it as a chapter, not my whole story. For now, I just have to keep moving forward. I'll try to keep dreaming, even when it feels like the world is telling me that it's not enough. Even when it feels like I'm running in place. Maybe one day, I'll find a way to get ahead. I don't know how, but I'll keep searching for it. Because right now, that's all I can do. I wake up every day with a pit in my stomach. It's not from a nightmare, not from anything physical, just the gnawing anxiety of another day I'm going to have to fight to get through. Another day where the costs of living feel like they're climbing higher and higher, while my income stays stagnant, like I'm stuck on a treadmill that only speeds up without ever getting me anywhere. I'm 25, and I'm doing everything I was supposed to do. I graduated college, I got a job, and I try to keep my expenses in check. But no matter what, it's never enough. The bills pile up faster than I can pay them, and the weight of it presses on me every single moment of the day. I feel trapped, and the worst part is that no matter how hard I try, it feels like I'm just treading water in a storm that never lets up. Every month, I open my bank account with a sense of dread. I already know what I'm going to see, but it doesn't make the sting any less painful. There's the rent, always high, even though I live in a cramped, overpriced apartment that's barely a step up from a shoebox. There's the car payment, which feels like a constant reminder that I can't afford the luxury of a simpler life. There are utilities, student loans, groceries, credit card bills that I can never seem to pay off completely. Every day, I'm walking this tightrope, just trying to avoid falling into debt that feels like it's always one step away. And then there are the things you don't even think about when you're younger, the little costs that slowly chip away at your savings. The cost of gas, of transportation, of a cup of coffee to get through the day. I've learned to never buy anything unless I absolutely have to. I check my bank account constantly, tracking every penny, making sure I can scrape by. Even though it's exhausting, it's just the way life works now. I know I'm not alone in this, that many people my age are going through the same thing. We're all just trying to make it, living paycheck to paycheck, dealing with the frustration of trying to save for the future when every dollar feels like it's already spent before it even hits your account. It feels like the economy has locked us into a cycle we can't break out of. Everything gets more expensive, but wages don't keep up. I keep hearing about the cost of living crisis, but it's different when you're the one living it, day in and day out. The reality hits harder than any news story or tweet. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down and cried, wondering if this will ever get better. If I'll ever be able to afford a vacation without feeling guilty about it. Or buy a home, or start a family, or even just buy new clothes without stressing about how I'll pay for it. I've dreamed of those things, big things, important things, but they feel farther and farther out of reach with every passing day. I don't know when I stopped believing that I'd be able to make it in the way I once imagined. I used to dream of being successful, of building a life where I could spend my time on things that mattered to me. But now, I wake up and go through the motions. I go to work, I come home, I pay the bills. Sometimes I go out with friends to escape for a little while, but even that comes with a sense of guilt. Am I spending too much on a dinner out? Should I have stayed home and saved that money? There are days when I can't help but feel defeated. Some people talk about manifesting their dreams or achieving greatness, but the reality for so many of us is simply surviving. My dreams of traveling, of experiencing new places and cultures, of having the freedom to go wherever the wind takes me, feel so far out of reach. I can barely afford to take a weekend trip, let alone go on an international adventure. The pressure to just get by takes up all my mental and emotional space. And then there's the loneliness that comes with all of it. I don't talk to my friends about the financial pressure, because I don't want to feel like a burden. I'm embarrassed. People don't want to hear about my struggles. They don't want to hear about how I keep pushing off dreams, the things I used to believe would be possible by now. I know they don't mean to, but sometimes when they talk about their vacations, their new purchases, their ease of life, it stings. I try to smile and laugh along, but inside, I'm suffocating. I'm scared that my future is slipping away. That I'll never be able to catch up. I think about the future often, mostly about how long I can keep going before I break. How long I can keep postponing my dreams. But I try not to think about that too much, because it's too overwhelming. Instead, I focus on the present, on the little things that keep me going. The quiet satisfaction of paying off a small debt, the sense of pride when I manage to put a little bit into savings, though it's never enough. I try to remind myself that I'm doing my best, but even that feels like I'm lying to myself. Most days, I feel like I'm standing in quicksand, watching everything I've worked for slowly sink beneath me. I know I can't just wish my way out of this. The world isn't going to change overnight. But sometimes, I wish for a break. A breath of fresh air. A moment when I don't feel the weight of every dollar I spend. So, I keep pushing through. I keep telling myself it won't always be this way. That eventually, I'll get ahead. But each day feels like it's the same, and the days blur together, one indistinguishable from the other. It's hard not to wonder how much longer I can keep going, how many more days I'll spend drowning in a system that's rigged against me. For now, I just keep going. I don't know what else to do. I wake up to the sound of my phone vibrating on the nightstand, another reminder that the day is already pressing in. I roll over and glance at the screen. There's a message from my bank app, a cheerful notification: your account balance has been updated. It feels like a cruel joke. I swipe it away, not ready to face the reality of what's there. Some days, I wonder if anyone really understands what it's like to be me. I'm 24, living in a small apartment that's barely big enough to breathe in, and yet it feels like the walls are closing in around me. Rent's due in 3 days, and I don't even know how I'm going to make it this time. It's a familiar dread now, this looming cloud that hovers above every decision I make. I used to think I had time. I used to tell myself, just a few more years. Work hard, put in the hours, and everything will fall into place. But I've learned that time doesn't really work that way, not when everything around you keeps moving faster than you can catch up. Some mornings, the pressure feels like a weight I can't shake off. It's not just about the bills. It's the little things, the grocery store trips where I stare at the shelves, trying to make the right choice between the cheaper brand or the healthier one. I used to care about that, about eating well, making sure I felt good in my body. But now? I grab whatever's cheapest. Forget nutrition. It's a constant juggling act, prioritizing what I can afford over what I actually need. And then there's the rent. The rent that keeps going up every single year. I remember when I signed my lease, how naive I was to think that I'd figure it out. Everyone's struggling a bit, I told myself. It's normal. But it's not. It's not normal to feel like your paycheck is already spent before it even hits your account. I look at other people my age, scrolling through social media, seeing them post about vacations, dinners at trendy restaurants, new clothes. It's like a slap in the face. Not because I resent them, but because I feel like I'm trapped in a loop, watching everyone else move forward while I can't even get a foot out of the hole I'm in. I try not to look too closely at the bank statements. I know what it says. It's always the same: paycheck gone before I can blink. I'm stuck in this cycle where no matter how much I work, how many extra shifts I pick up, it's never enough. I've started to think about my job as a survival mechanism, not a career. I show up, do my best, and wait for the day to end, just to do it all over again. I've had to put off so many things that used to matter. Like getting my car fixed. It's been making a weird noise for months now, but I can't afford to take it in. I walk everywhere now, taking buses when I can't. Some days, I feel like I'm being punished for having dreams, for wanting a life that's not just about making ends meet. I used to imagine traveling, exploring places, seeing the world. But that dream is on pause. Now, it's about how to stretch the last $20 until the next paycheck, how to make rent without borrowing more from my family. I don't tell anyone about the stress anymore. People have enough of their own problems, and honestly, I don't want anyone to see how fragile I am. The people around me, they've all got their own ways of coping. Some of them are lucky, good jobs, support systems, enough to not worry about where the next meal is coming from. But I can't keep pretending that everything is fine. Some days, I cry. I'm embarrassed by it. I cry in the shower, where no one can hear, my face buried in my hands as the water runs over me. The weight of it all crashes in. How much longer can I keep doing this? How much longer can I just survive without living? It feels like every step I take, the ground gets more unstable. I don't know how much more I can take before I just break. And yet, every day, I force myself to get up. I remind myself to keep going. I think about the future, about the life I want to have one day, when I can pay my bills without the constant panic. It feels so far away sometimes, like it's not even real. But I have to hold on to that hope, even if it's just a little sliver. I used to have big dreams. I thought I'd be someone important by now, doing work I loved, maybe even making enough money to live comfortably. Instead, I've spent the last few years pushing those dreams aside, telling myself it's not the right time, that I need to focus on what's in front of me. But the thing is, what's in front of me right now feels like a dead end. It's not even that I want to quit, quitting is not an option. But I want more than this. I want to feel like I'm building something. I want to wake up with a sense of purpose, not just because the clock says it's time to go to work again. Sometimes, when I'm lying in bed, I wonder if I'll ever be able to afford a place of my own that feels like a real home. I dream about having a small, cozy apartment with plants on the windowsill, a kitchen where I can cook without counting every ingredient. I dream about having a career that makes me feel proud, not just drained. But for now, those dreams feel like fairy tales, stories for someone else. Not for me. I think about the things I used to take for granted. Going out with friends, seeing a movie on a whim, grabbing a coffee just because. Those things are luxuries now. I can't remember the last time I treated myself to something, anything, without feeling guilty about it afterward. That's the hardest part, the guilt. It's the constant companion, the shadow that never leaves. Every time I buy something small, even if it's just a cup of coffee or a pack of gum, it feels like I'm stealing from my future. There are days when I wonder if I'll ever catch up. If I'll ever stop feeling like I'm running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster. Will I ever be able to say, I'm okay, I've got this? I don't know. Sometimes, I don't even know if I can make it through another month without collapsing under the pressure. But I keep going. I get up, take a deep breath, and step outside, into a world that doesn't seem to care that I'm struggling. Because what else can I do? What else is there? I've learned that there's no quick fix, no easy way out. But maybe, just maybe, if I keep showing up, if I keep pushing forward, things will change. Slowly, maybe, but change is change. For now, that's all I can hold on to. The hope that one day, I'll look back at this time and realize it was just a chapter. Just a part of the story. And that there will be more to my life than surviving. There will be living. Until then, I'll keep going. Because what else can I do? I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing with notifications, none of which are good. The first one is from my bank, reminding me of my balance. I know it's low, always is, but seeing the number in front of me is a jolt. I glance over at my roommate's empty bed. I'm not sure if she's still asleep or already gone to work, but either way, the room feels quieter than usual today. Maybe it's the pressure of the week ahead, or the weight of the bills piling up, but I feel it in my chest, tight, like I can't breathe all the way. I reach for my phone and swipe through my messages, trying to put off the inevitable. The rent's due in 3 days. I still need to buy groceries. And then there's the car payment, the insurance, the student loan, the credit card minimums. It's a constant math problem that I never seem to solve. I try not to think about it too much because thinking about it makes me dizzy, but today, it feels overwhelming. I scroll through Instagram, half-heartedly liking photos of friends traveling, laughing, living lives I can barely dream about anymore. The trips I wanted to take, the big city I thought I'd move to, the job I thought I'd have, somewhere along the way, those dreams got buried under the weight of rent increases, gas prices, and the constant cycle of trying to make it through the next paycheck. I've always been careful with money. At least, I thought I was. But the cost of everything is rising so quickly that it's hard to keep up. I work full-time at a job I don't love, but it pays the bills. Barely. I've had friends tell me to just get a side hustle, like it's some simple solution, like my evenings aren't already taken up by exhaustion, by trying to unwind from a day of answering emails and doing customer service over the phone. But they don't get it. They've never had to figure out how to make it all work on a threadbare budget. I force myself to get out of bed and drag myself to the bathroom. I stare at my reflection for a moment, running my hands over my face, wishing I could erase the fatigue from my features. I wash my face with cold water, trying to snap out of the fog that seems to have settled into my brain. Coffee. I need coffee. The kitchen is quiet. My roommate's gone, which means I'm alone to face the day. I check the fridge. There's a carton of eggs, some leftover rice, and a few veggies that are almost past their prime. I've gotten good at stretching meals, finding ways to make what I have last just a little longer. I used to love cooking, loved experimenting with recipes and creating something new. Now, it's more about survival. I make a quick stir-fry with the rice, eggs, and veggies, trying to ignore the growling in my stomach as I wait for the food to cook. When it's ready, I sit down at the table and force myself to eat. I don't have the luxury of not being hungry anymore. I can't afford to skip meals, and even when I feel full, I always have that gnawing feeling that it might not be enough. I stare at the food, then my phone, then the clock on the wall. Another hour before I need to leave for work. As I finish eating, I scroll through job listings again. I've been doing this for months. I've applied to so many places that it almost feels like a second job. But the jobs I want, the ones that pay enough to breathe, to not feel like I'm constantly on the edge, are few and far between. And when I do hear back, it's either a rejection or a dead-end interview. It doesn't help that the economy feels like it's on the brink of something, and no one's willing to take risks on someone who's just barely getting by. The cycle continues: apply, interview, wait, repeat. I grab my bag, toss my keys inside, and head out the door. The streets are busy, but not with the energy I once imagined. Everyone's in a rush, their faces tense, shoulders hunched, as if they, too, are carrying something heavy that no one talks about. As I walk to the bus stop, I find myself thinking about how all of this feels like a game I can't win. The economy is so unpredictable, everything is more expensive, and even the smallest emergency feels like it could break me. At work, I sit at a desk in a small office, answering calls and emails, doing the same tasks over and over. Some days, it feels like I'm in a hamster wheel, going nowhere. I try to focus, but my mind keeps drifting. I think about the future. Will I ever be able to buy a home? Will I ever be able to take a vacation without feeling guilty? Will I ever stop feeling like I'm running out of time? The hardest part is that I can't see a way out. I don't have anyone to turn to for financial help, and even if I did, the shame of asking for it feels too much to bear. I want to believe things will get better, but with every increase in rent, every jump in prices, it feels like the dream of financial stability is slipping further away. After work, I go home and collapse on the couch. I've stopped trying to make big plans because I know I can't follow through on them. Even small ones, like going out with friends or seeing a movie, feel like luxuries I can't afford. I try to remind myself that this is temporary, that things will get better eventually, but I don't really believe it. Maybe things will get better, but will I be able to handle it by then? I'm learning how to live in the moment, how to cope with the day-to-day, but it's not easy. Every time I scrape by, every time I get through the month, I tell myself, just keep going. But it's getting harder to tell myself that. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep pretending that I'm fine. Sometimes, I think about the future I wanted. I dreamt of traveling, of finding work I was passionate about, of building something for myself. But every dream seems to slip further away. I think about the possibility of never being able to take a break, of never being able to give myself the gift of relaxation without guilt. I think about what it would be like to not constantly worry about whether I can afford the basics. Some days, I feel like I'm failing. Not just because of my finances, but because of the person I thought I would be by now. I feel like I've let my younger self down. I want to tell them that it's okay to be where I am now, but it's hard to believe it. When I was younger, I thought I'd have it all figured out by now. Instead, I'm here, struggling to pay rent, to eat, to breathe. And it feels like I'm stuck in a system where everything is set up to make it harder, not easier. But even in the midst of all this pressure, I'm learning to be kinder to myself. Some days, that's enough. Some days, it's not. I don't know where the future will take me. I don't know if I'll ever get out of this financial hole, or if I'll find a way to breathe without it feeling like a constant struggle. But for today, I'm just going to keep going, like I always do. Tomorrow is a new day, and maybe it will be a little easier. Maybe it won't. But for now, I'll take it one step at a time. I have to. The first thing I do every morning is check my bank account. It's become a ritual, an agonizing one, but a ritual nonetheless. Some days, there's just enough to scrape by. Other days, I find myself staring at the numbers, hoping they'll change, like some kind of magic will happen and I'll wake up with a little extra. It never does. I'm 27. I graduated college with a degree I thought would open doors. Instead, it feels like it locked me in a cage, where the bars are bills I can never seem to escape. I have a full-time job. I work hard. But with each paycheck, it feels like the world is taking more than I can give. The rent increases every year, the price of groceries keeps going up, and gas prices? Don't even get me started. Every time I fill up my car, I feel like I'm throwing my money into an abyss, knowing I'll never see it again. I've tried to keep up. I really have. I track my spending like it's a second job, make sure I'm living below my means, except I'm not sure what below my means even means anymore. I look at my friends' Instagram posts, the ones with vacations, new clothes, or simply eating out without a second thought, and it's like they live in an entirely different world. One where money doesn't vanish at the speed of light. It's a constant juggling act. I've become skilled at making things stretch just enough to make it to the next paycheck, but that's all it is, survival. There's no room for anything extra. No room for dreams. No room for maybe one day. Every time I start to plan for something, the financial reality smacks me right in the face. Take travel, for example. When I was younger, I used to dream of seeing the world. I'd picture myself hiking in the Swiss Alps or walking through ancient temples in Asia, but now, those dreams feel like distant fantasies. The money I'd spend on a plane ticket, I have to save for the next round of bills. I've never been able to take a vacation that didn't feel like a punishment to my bank account. I don't even know when I'll be able to do something for myself without feeling guilty about it. The pressure weighs on me in more ways than one. I don't talk about it much, but sometimes the isolation feels unbearable. There's this sense that everyone else has it together. My friends seem to be living in a different reality, one where financial anxiety isn't a constant, buzzing hum in the background. I can't help but wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get ahead? It's hard to talk about these things when it feels like the whole world expects you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But what happens when you don't even have the boots? When you're trying to survive on a pair of worn-out shoes, and every step makes you sink deeper? I used to have bigger dreams. I still do, deep down. But now, those dreams feel like a cruel joke. Buying a house? That's something I only see on TV or hear about when people around me talk about their parents' homes. Maybe in a few years, if I get a raise, if the economy shifts just right, but I don't even let myself hope for that anymore. It feels like I'm wishing for the impossible. The thought of getting married, starting a family, and building a life that includes anything other than just paying bills feels like an impossibility. I cope by distracting myself. I bury myself in work, in responsibilities, anything to stop me from thinking about the future. I've started getting into hobbies just to have something else to focus on. Yoga, painting, reading books, things that are free, or at least cheap, so I can trick myself into thinking I'm living a full life. I keep telling myself that one day, this will all pay off. That if I just keep working, keep saving, keep grinding, it'll all make sense. But there are days when it feels like a lie. I don't know what to do when the pressure feels unbearable. I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, my heart racing, my mind spinning with bills I haven't paid yet or how much longer I'll be stuck in this loop. I try to breathe, to remind myself that it's all temporary, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like a trap. Like I'm stuck in a system where the cost of living increases faster than I can keep up with, and no matter how much I try, I'm always falling behind. I tell myself that I'm doing okay, that I should be proud of how far I've come. But it's hard to feel that way when every day is just a struggle to stay afloat. The worst part? I'm not alone in this. So many people my age are dealing with the same thing, feeling stuck, exhausted, and overwhelmed. I see it in the eyes of my friends when we talk about money, about our future. We all laugh it off, make jokes, pretend it doesn't hurt. But it does. It's exhausting, and it's draining, and some days I'm just tired of pretending that everything will be okay. When I close my eyes, I can still see the life I thought I'd have. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be able to say yes to opportunities, to buy the things I need without always thinking about the cost. But now, I'm just focused on making it through each day. Getting through today is an accomplishment. Maybe one day, things will change. Maybe the economy will improve, maybe I'll get that raise, maybe I'll be able to buy a home or take that dream trip. But right now, I can't help but feel like I'm stuck in a system where I'm always going to be behind, always struggling. And that's the hardest part, knowing that no matter how hard I try, I'm constantly running just to stay in the same place. I just want a break. It's 3:47 p.m., and I'm sitting in my small apartment, staring at the same stack of bills I've been looking at for the last week. I swear, they multiply. One bill paid, and two more show up, as if to mock me. I just keep feeling like I'm drowning, and the surface is so far away I can't see it anymore. I've always known life was going to be hard. Growing up, I saw my parents struggle. My mom worked 2 jobs, my dad never really had a steady one. I thought that when I got older, I'd have it all figured out. I'd be smart about money. But I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't prepared for how expensive everything is. I'm 25, and I have a degree. It wasn't easy to get it, and I'm proud of myself for finishing, but what's it worth when you're making barely enough to cover rent? I work at a marketing agency now. It's not a bad job, some days it even feels like it's the kind of work I can do well, but it's just not enough. I'm stuck in this cycle where I spend my days trying to prove myself, but every paycheck seems to evaporate before it even reaches my bank account. I'd love to be able to enjoy a quiet afternoon, just sipping a coffee in a nice cafe, reading a book, feeling like life is manageable. But I can't remember the last time I did something just for me. Maybe it's the pressure or the guilt, but I can't shake the feeling that every time I let myself relax, I'm somehow wasting time I should be spending doing something productive, something that will help me get ahead. I didn't think about bills when I chose this apartment. I was just desperate to have my own place, to have that sense of independence. The rent is manageable, well, if you don't think about food, utilities, and the other costs of living in the city. But every month, it feels like I'm treading water, and the waves keep getting higher. The electricity bill was due last week, and I pushed it off. The payment isn't late yet, but I've been cutting down on the AC, keeping lights off, and using the microwave as little as possible. I feel ridiculous when I have to explain that to my friends. Oh, sorry, I can't hang out tonight. I'm trying to save on power. It's a joke, but it's not funny. I get the "you'll be fine" pep talks from my parents, but it doesn't really help. They've been saying that to me for years, and I know they mean well. They've always been the type to tell me I can do anything. But there's a huge gap between optimism and the reality of watching rent and food prices go up while wages stay stagnant. I don't want to be ungrateful. I know people have it harder. But I also feel like I'm losing myself. I just want to breathe, just for a second. But when every choice feels like it could mean the difference between making rent or not, there's no time for peace. The hardest part is the way it messes with your head. I try to stay positive, but some days it feels like no matter what I do, I'm just sinking deeper. It's not just the money, it's the constant worry. The stress. I wake up every morning with this knot in my stomach, and it's not just because I haven't had a good night's sleep in weeks. It's because I know I'm living on the edge. One unexpected expense could push me over. Today, I spent an hour scrolling through job listings. There are better paying roles, sure, but most of them require at least 5 years of experience. Some days, it feels like I'll never get to where I want to be. I've applied to what feels like 1,000 positions, but no one calls back. The rejection letters don't sting as much anymore, they've become a part of the background noise. I just keep pushing forward, even when the future feels so uncertain. I don't think about the future as much anymore. It's hard to dream when everything is so immediate. There was a time when I wanted to travel, maybe even live abroad for a few months, immerse myself in another culture. I used to think I'd get a job that would pay for that kind of adventure, but now, I can't even imagine what it would take. How do people save for a vacation when their paycheck is eaten up by rent, insurance, and the basics? I used to think owning a home was a real possibility. Now, that feels as distant as being a millionaire. I can't even begin to think about how I'd save for a down payment. I don't know how anyone does it. I want to be smart about it, but there's just not enough room to breathe. I want to believe that things will get better, but it's hard when you see so many people in the same boat, paddling furiously and going nowhere. It's not even just the money anymore. It's the feeling of being trapped. I look at the world, and it's like this big, beautiful thing, and I'm stuck in this small, suffocating corner. I've stopped making plans for the future because I don't know how to make sense of it anymore. I can't even plan a weekend trip to visit friends because gas prices have gone up, and I know I'll need that extra money just to make it through the month. I have dreams, too. I always have. I want to write. I want to create. But it's hard to focus on those things when the bills are due, when the rent is too high, when the food prices keep rising. I used to think maybe I could do both, work my day job and work on my passions at night. But my body doesn't cooperate anymore. I'm always tired, always on the edge. Some days, it feels like my dreams are too far away to even reach for. The worst part is the guilt. I feel guilty every time I have to say no to something. I feel guilty when I can't help my friends, when I can't treat them to lunch, when I have to cancel plans because I just can't afford to go out. I feel guilty because I know how lucky I am to have a roof over my head and a job to go to. But that guilt doesn't make it any easier to sleep at night. I think about the future sometimes, but only in fleeting moments. I'm scared. Scared that I'll never make enough, scared that I'll always be just scraping by. I don't know how to change things, but I also don't know how to stop trying. I keep pushing, even when it feels like I'm getting nowhere. Maybe that's all we can do, just keep going, even when the future feels like a giant question mark. But right now, I just wish I could take a break. I wish I could look at the bills without my chest tightening, without that sense of dread. I wish I could look forward to something again. Maybe someday, things will change. Maybe I'll get ahead, but right now, all I can do is keep moving, keep pushing, and hope that one day, this weight won't feel so heavy. I just want to be able to dream again. For now, that seems impossible. But I'll keep holding on. Maybe that's enough for today. I wake up to the blaring alarm, the kind that forces me out of bed whether I'm ready or not. The sunlight's already peeking through the blinds, and I roll over, glancing at the time. It's 7:15 a.m. Another rushed morning. I get up, feeling the weight of the day before it's even started. I drag myself to the bathroom and stare at my reflection, trying to shake off the grogginess, but it's there in my eyes, the exhaustion, the constant unease. I barely make it out the door in time for the bus. The commute is the same every day, crowded and claustrophobic, as I sit there trying not to let the anxiety of my financial situation consume me. I clutch my phone in my hand, scrolling through my bank account, knowing full well that it won't tell me anything good. I swipe past notifications that I'm still on the wrong side of the overdraft limit, and the credit card bills are due in 2 days. It's almost laughable at this point. I'm just waiting for the inevitable. I wish I could say that things are getting better. That I've found some way to escape the sinking feeling in my chest that comes with every bill, every rent payment, every little thing that requires more money than I have. But it doesn't get better. It never gets better. Not when wages haven't kept pace with the cost of living, not when everything around me seems to get more expensive by the day. I've tried everything to stay afloat. I work overtime when I can, pick up shifts where possible, but there's only so much a person can do. Sometimes I look at the job market, the new opportunities flashing at me from job boards, and think about how much of a scam it feels like. They tell us we need experience, skills, networking, so much effort just to get into a cycle of work that leaves us barely scraping by. It's exhausting, and I'm just one more person in a world that's outpaced me. The bills pile up, and I find myself constantly choosing between necessities. Do I pay the rent this month and risk my credit score tanking further? Or do I scrape together the money for groceries and hope that I can make it another few weeks without getting a notice? Every decision is a trade-off. I can't remember the last time I didn't feel the pressure of living paycheck to paycheck. Even small things feel monumental. Do I really need a new pair of shoes, or can I squeeze one more month out of the old ones? Can I afford a movie night with friends, or is that a luxury I can't afford right now? I remember a time when I had dreams of traveling. Of going to places I'd only seen in pictures, experiencing life beyond the grind. I wanted to explore the world, learn new languages, meet new people. But that feels so far away now. I can barely afford to take a weekend trip, let alone a vacation abroad. My mind spins with thoughts of what it would be like to break free from this cycle, but the truth is that there's no escape. It's not just the bills, it's the constant worry. It's knowing that no matter how hard I work, the cost of living is always a few steps ahead of me, pulling me under. There's a constant knot in my stomach as I walk into work. I try to keep up the facade of being okay, but inside, I feel like I'm drowning. I have to smile and make small talk with coworkers, but the stress of my situation is always there, gnawing at me. I try to ignore it, but it's hard when every decision is governed by money. I don't even remember the last time I treated myself to something nice without feeling guilty about it afterward. Sometimes, I lie awake at night, scrolling through social media, watching people live the lives I've always dreamed of. They post about their vacations, their new homes, their fancy dinners, and I can't help but feel a pang of envy, even though I know it's not healthy. It's hard not to compare my life to theirs when it seems like the world has left me behind. I feel stuck in this endless loop, where every step forward feels like 2 steps back. I cope by pretending it's all fine. I tell myself that things will eventually get better, that maybe I'll find a way to make it work. But the truth is, I don't know if it ever will. Every year, the cost of living increases, and wages stay the same, or worse, decrease. I can see my future stretching out before me, a future where I'm constantly scrambling to make ends meet, always behind, always playing catch-up. Some days, I try to think about the future with hope. Maybe I'll find a way to get ahead. Maybe I'll get a promotion, or maybe some miracle will happen, and I'll finally have enough to stop worrying about money all the time. But the more I try to hold on to that hope, the more I feel it slipping through my fingers, like sand in an hourglass that's running out of time. The truth is, I can't keep going like this. The pressure is wearing me down, piece by piece. I've had to give up on a lot of dreams. The idea of owning a home, of starting a family, of building a life that feels like more than just surviving. I can't even think about retirement. It feels like a distant fantasy for people with more money than I'll ever have. The thought of not having to worry about money every single day is so far out of reach that it almost doesn't feel real. I tell myself that maybe one day things will be different, but the longer I live like this, the harder it is to believe. Some days I try to convince myself that it's all part of the process. That everyone struggles at some point, and this is just my time to figure it out. But deep down, I know the system is broken. And I'm not sure if I'll ever escape it. I look at my friends sometimes, and they seem to have their lives together in ways that I can't even begin to fathom. They're saving for things, buying their own cars, making plans for the future. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to get through today. I wonder how they do it. Maybe they have a different kind of luck, or maybe they're just better at playing the game. Whatever it is, it feels like I'm losing. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending like everything's okay. Some days I just want to scream, to let out all the frustration that builds up inside me. But I don't. I just keep pushing forward, doing what I can to survive. The hardest part is knowing that no matter how hard I try, no matter how many extra shifts I pick up, I'm still not getting ahead. I'll never be the person I dreamed I'd be, at least, not in the way I imagined. The life I've had to build is smaller than I ever hoped for, and some days it feels suffocating. I don't know what the future holds, but I keep waking up every morning, because I have to. Because there's no other choice. It's just this cycle of working, struggling, surviving. And maybe that's all it will ever be. I don't know if I'll ever break free from this feeling of being trapped, but I guess I'll keep trying. Because that's all I can do. I just wish it didn't feel so heavy. Hey, friends! If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. I wake up every morning to a constant hum in the back of my mind. It's there even before I open my eyes, the weight of my financial reality pressing down on me. My alarm goes off, and the first thing I do, before I even check the weather or stretch out the sleep from my limbs, is open my bank app. The number is always the same, too low. I know exactly how much I have to work with until my next paycheck, and it's never enough. It's always close, but never quite there. I'm 26, with a degree in something I thought would set me up for a life of possibilities, and yet, here I am, watching my paycheck disappear as quickly as it comes in. I'm stuck in the kind of job I once dreamed of, well, kind of. The reality is a little different. There's no room for growth. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, trying to keep my head above water in an economy that seems designed to drown people like me. The bills pile up faster than I can pay them, and every time I think I have a handle on it, something new comes up. Rent. Utilities. The never-ending rise in food costs. Gas prices. And every month, the same question comes, how do I make it work? I've tried cutting back on everything I can think of, no more fancy coffees, no new clothes, and I cancel my streaming subscriptions just to squeeze out a little more. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't feel like enough. I see my friends on social media, posting about vacations they're taking or the new shoes they just bought. I don't even remember the last time I treated myself to something outside of necessity. I used to have dreams. Dreams of traveling, of being able to buy a house one day, of taking vacations where I didn't have to worry about what I was spending. But lately, I feel like I'm just surviving. Like I'm caught in a loop where I'm trying to stay afloat but the waves keep getting higher. I've had to postpone so many things. My dream of going back to school to pursue a career I'm passionate about? Postponed. I had saved up for it, but when the car broke down, that money disappeared into the repair shop. The vacation I wanted to take to clear my head, to remind myself that life isn't all about survival? Gone. I remember thinking, maybe next year, but as each month drags by, I know deep down that next year is never going to come. At least, not unless things change. I don't talk about it much, but the emotional weight of it all is exhausting. There are days when I feel like I'm drowning, like I'm doing everything I can, but it's never enough. I look around at my peers, at the ones who seem to have it all together, and I can't help but wonder what I'm doing wrong. It's easy to pretend, to laugh it off when people talk about their goals or their future plans. But inside, there's a quiet desperation. A longing for something more than just getting by. I'm tired of being stuck. I try to cope in small ways. I've started exercising more, trying to get a release from the constant mental pressure. Yoga helps, but it's hard to feel centered when you know your next payment is due and you don't know where it's coming from. I've also started journaling, writing out all the things I wish I could change. I write down the places I want to go, the life I want to live, but when I read those words back to myself, they feel like empty promises. Things I'll never get to. Things I can't afford. The worst part is the constant worry. The anxiety of not knowing if I'll be able to pay rent this month, or if I'll be able to make the credit card payment on time. The fear of one emergency completely derailing everything. I don't even want to think about the future anymore. I can't. The way things are now, I feel like I'll never be able to afford anything that actually matters. Every step forward feels like 2 steps back, like I'm running in place. I've tried to talk to my family about it. I've tried to be open about how much pressure I'm under, but it's hard when they don't understand. They tell me things like, you'll figure it out, or, it'll get better soon. But it doesn't feel like it will. Every day, I'm reminded of how out of control everything is. It's as if I'm trapped in a system that's designed to keep me in this cycle, working harder but getting further behind. Every time I think I'm making progress, I'm hit with something new. The dentist bill I didn't see coming. The car repairs that drained my savings. The rising cost of living that just makes it harder to breathe. I keep telling myself that I'm strong, that I'm capable, and that this is just a phase. But the truth is, I don't know how long I can keep going like this. I don't know how long I can keep pretending like everything is fine when I'm barely holding it together. The dreams I once had, the plans I thought were achievable, are slipping away from me, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Some days, I wonder if it's even worth dreaming anymore. When you're stuck in survival mode, it's hard to remember what it feels like to have hope. The world tells me to hustle harder, to work my way out of this mess, but every day it feels like I'm getting further away from the life I want. It's hard to see a way out when all you can do is keep your head above water. I don't know what the future holds. All I can do is keep going, day by day, hoping that something will change. But some days, that hope feels fragile. Like it could shatter any minute, and I'd be left with nothing but the harsh reality of bills and empty promises. I'm tired of just surviving. I want to live. But right now, I don't know how to get from here to there. I wake up to the sound of my alarm, a dull buzz that cuts through the heavy air of my one-bedroom apartment. It's still dark outside, and I can feel the weight of another day pressing down on me before I even open my eyes. I roll over, check my phone, one new email, a notification from the bank app reminding me of my balance. It's a habit now, the way I check it as soon as I wake up. But it never changes. Never a good surprise. Just a reminder that I'm always a little more behind than I want to be. I've been out of college for 2 years now, but sometimes it feels like I never left. The degree I worked so hard for hasn't made my life any easier. It's like being stuck in a loop, where the more you try to get ahead, the further behind you fall. Rent is due again next week, and this time, I can already feel the tightness in my chest. The price keeps climbing. The landlord said it was just a market adjustment, but what does that even mean when the market keeps adjusting away from what I can afford? I don't want to think about it too much. I can't. I'll get anxious, and there's no time for anxiety when you're trying to keep it all together. I get out of bed, shuffle into the kitchen, and make a cup of coffee. It's not much, just some cheap ground beans and water, but it's a small moment of comfort. It's funny how much these little routines matter when everything else feels uncertain. The microwave hums as it heats up my breakfast, a frozen burrito I bought in bulk when the store had a sale. I've learned how to stretch $1 in ways I never thought I'd have to. I remember when I thought I'd be living a different life by now. I thought I'd be one of those people who had it all figured out, working a job that paid well, living somewhere I actually liked, maybe even starting to save for the future. But every month, it feels like I'm just treading water. I get dressed, check my bank account again, and put on the same tired jeans and a shirt that's seen better days. I think about how, at my age, some of my friends are buying homes or getting promotions, and I'm just trying to make it through the week. How did I end up here? My mind always loops back to that question, like a song I can't stop hearing. My job pays enough to cover the basics, rent, utilities, food, but there's nothing left after that. The few extra hours I pick up as a part-time barista barely make a difference. I used to have dreams, big ones, but they're harder to hold on to now. I remember when I wanted to travel, explore new cities, maybe even live abroad for a while. I wanted to write, too, maybe start a blog or write a book. But every time I sit down to think about it, my mind gets crowded with all the things I can't afford, the bills, the unexpected medical expenses, the rising costs of everything. How do people do it? How do they keep up with all this and still find the time and energy to chase their dreams? I leave for work, walking through the streets of the city. There's something about the hustle and bustle that feels suffocating. I see people rushing to their offices, their suits sharp and their lives seemingly together, while I'm over here just trying to survive. I envy them, not because I want their job or their life, but because I wish I had their stability. At least they don't have to make a choice between paying the electricity bill or buying groceries. They don't have to wonder if the next paycheck will be enough to cover everything, or if they'll have to dip into their savings, which, for me, are pretty much non-existent. Savings? That's a joke at this point. If I even had the luxury of thinking about saving, I'd still be stuck trying to figure out how to get by. Work is just as draining as always. I answer emails, deal with customer complaints, and try to be as efficient as I can, knowing it doesn't really matter. The job isn't the issue is everything outside of it. The world feels like it's growing more expensive every day, and I can feel it in my bones. My coworkers talk about their weekend plans, their vacations, and all I can think about is how I'll make it through the next few days without having a panic attack. The pressure is always there, like a shadow I can't escape. I've learned to mask it, though. I smile when people ask how I'm doing. Good, just tired, I'll say, because no one wants to hear the real answer. I'm not even sure what the real answer is anymore. How do you explain the feeling of being trapped in a system where your expenses grow faster than your income? Where the dreams you had for your future are constantly pushed back because you're just trying to survive? It's not something you can put into words, not without feeling ashamed. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but I also don't want to keep pretending that everything is fine. Because it's not. I get home that evening, and there's a letter from the electric company waiting for me. I open it slowly, the dread already building in my chest. Sure enough, it's a notice about an upcoming rate increase. A part of me isn't surprised anymore. I just sigh, throw it on the table, and head to the kitchen to cook something cheap. Spaghetti again. It's all I can afford, really. I've learned how to make it stretch, throwing in whatever I have on hand, some canned tomatoes, a bit of frozen vegetables, and a sprinkle of cheese if I can spare it. It's not much, but it's filling. Dinner is a quiet affair. I eat alone, like I always do, and it's easy to lose myself in the routine. I scroll through social media, watching people post about their new jobs, new houses, and new experiences. There's a part of me that's happy for them, but it's hard not to feel left behind. I tell myself it's okay. I remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. But it's hard to believe that when the numbers don't add up, when the future looks like a fog I can't see through. The weight of it all settles in at night. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the future. What does it even look like for me? Will I always be stuck in this cycle? Will I ever get the chance to follow my dreams? The truth is, I don't know. I don't know how long I can keep going like this. But I have to. I have no choice. I try to hold on to the small things, the moments when I get to step outside and feel the sun on my face, the small victories when I manage to pay a bill on time, the quiet relief when I find a new way to save a few dollars. But even those moments can't drown out the fear. Fear that the bills will keep stacking up, that I'll never get ahead, that I'll always be living paycheck to paycheck. I try to remind myself that I'm not alone, that other people are struggling, too. But it's hard to find comfort in that when it feels like the world is moving forward, and I'm stuck in place. The dreams I once had are still there, buried beneath the weight of everything. They're waiting for a time when I can breathe, when I'm not just surviving but actually living. Maybe one day, I'll get there. Maybe one day, I'll have the space to chase those dreams. But for now, all I can do is keep going. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Because even when it feels like everything is too much, I know I can't stop. I'll keep going. Even when I don't know how. I wake up every day with a knot in my stomach. It's not because I'm late for work or because I have a meeting with my boss, though those things are stressful enough. No, it's the constant pressure of knowing that the world around me is getting more expensive, and I'm stuck on the same treadmill, running as fast as I can, but always feeling like I'm a step behind. It's like being trapped in a system where the rules change every day, but somehow, no matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to catch up. I graduated 2 years ago with a degree in marketing. At the time, I was full of hope, thinking that a degree would be my ticket out, that I'd land a job that would help me start building the future I dreamed of. My friends and I used to talk about our plans, how we'd move to bigger cities, get jobs that paid well, and eventually get an apartment that was our own. We'd laugh about how hard we worked during college, how we'd go on vacations to Europe, maybe buy a car that didn't have 200,000 miles on it. It all felt possible, and for a while, I thought it was just a matter of time. But the time passed, and the job offers were slow to come. I finally landed a marketing assistant position at a mid-sized company, but the pay was low, lower than I expected for the amount of effort I was putting in. My starting salary was barely enough to cover my rent, utilities, and student loan payments. There was no room for anything else. No savings. No fun. No peace of mind. It's been a struggle just to stay afloat. Every paycheck feels like a bandage on a wound that's growing deeper and wider. My rent keeps going up, utilities aren't getting any cheaper, and my phone bill feels like a constant weight. I've learned how to stretch every dollar as far as it will go, but there's only so much you can do with what you've got. I can't go out to eat with friends anymore without feeling guilty. I've started saying no to invitations, not because I don't want to see them, but because I can't justify spending the money on things like drinks at a bar or dinner at a restaurant when my bills are looming in the background. I've stopped buying clothes. There was a time when I could go to a thrift store and pick up a cute outfit for under $20, but even those prices are rising. The idea of splurging on a new pair of shoes feels absurd when I haven't been able to make a dent in my credit card debt. I remember when I bought my first pair of real leather boots, on sale, and how excited I was to wear them. I feel so far from that version of myself now. And then there are the little things. The constant little costs that you don't think about until they come up: car repairs, doctor's appointments, the random parking ticket I get every couple of months. Those are the things that really get to me. I can't plan for them. They're like landmines that pop up when I'm already struggling to stay on my feet. I've gotten used to canceling plans last minute or pretending I'm sick when I can't afford to go somewhere. I've learned how to smile and say maybe next time while my brain is screaming that I can't afford another $15 drink. I'm always calculating in my head, can I afford the gas to get there? Will I have to dip into my savings just to go out and be social? I've stopped going to my favorite coffee shop because it's $5 for a latte, and that's $5 I could put towards my electric bill. I don't even feel like I have a social life anymore. The friends who don't seem to have money issues don't understand, and it's easier just to avoid the embarrassment of saying I can't afford it. The worst part is that it feels like it's all out of my control. The economy keeps shifting, prices keep rising, and my income stays stagnant. I feel like I'm on the edge of a cliff, always just about to fall. Every time something small breaks, a pair of shoes or a dish, I think, can I replace this? Do I have enough left over to do that? It's hard not to feel like I'm failing sometimes. I see others around me buying houses, taking vacations, getting promotions. It's like the whole world is moving forward, and I'm stuck in place, watching everyone else get ahead. I used to have big dreams of becoming a brand manager, of traveling the world, of building a career I could be proud of. But now, my dream is just to get through the day without feeling like I'm drowning in bills and stress. I've stopped thinking about my future the way I used to. I used to have a vision: I'd be successful, independent, financially secure. Now, all I think about is how to make it through the month. Some days, I feel so overwhelmed by the weight of everything that I can't even focus on my work. I try to stay productive, but my mind drifts to my bank account balance, to that bill that's due, to the fact that my rent is going up again. How can I feel secure when I'm living paycheck to paycheck? How can I dream when I'm stuck in this cycle of financial anxiety? I've found myself getting emotional when I think about the future. The fear of never getting ahead, the dread that I'll always be caught in this cycle of scraping by. I think about things like buying a house, getting married, having kids, but they feel so far out of reach. It's like I'm living in someone else's story, one where I'm just trying to survive rather than thrive. I've learned to avoid thinking about the future too much, because it feels like I'm setting myself up for disappointment. Some nights, when everything feels especially hard, I think about quitting, just walking away from everything and starting over. But then, I remind myself that it's not an option. I can't give up, not yet. I have too many responsibilities, too many people depending on me. And so I keep going. I go to work every day, I put in my time, I work hard, and I wait for the world to change. But with every passing day, the world seems to get further out of reach. I cope by finding small joys. A quiet evening watching Netflix, a good book, the feeling of accomplishment when I finally pay off one credit card bill. These moments are what keep me going. But even they can't fully fill the emptiness I feel about my future. I'm trying to hold on to hope, trying to believe that things will get better. I'm trying to remind myself that I'm not alone, that everyone is struggling in their own way, but some days, it's harder than others. The world feels big, and I feel small, like my dreams are just out of reach, slipping away with every bill that comes in the mail. I don't know how long I can keep this up. Sometimes, it feels like I'm running a race I can never win. But for now, I just keep running, one foot in front of the other, hoping that one day, I'll catch up. I wake up to the same thing every morning. The anxiety creeps in as soon as I open my eyes. I don't need to check the time to know that I'm already late for work, I just need to check my bank account balance. The numbers don't lie, they never do. They tell me exactly how much I have to make it through another week, and every time, it's the same story, not enough. I'm 28, with a degree I thought would unlock doors. I thought I was going to have it all figured out by now, that I would be living the life I imagined. But that version of the future feels farther and farther away. I know I should be grateful for the job I have. I should be proud that I even found a position in my field after school. But the truth is, every day, I feel trapped. The bills are piling up. The rent goes up every year, but my salary stays the same. Prices on just about everything have skyrocketed, and I'm left trying to make sense of how I'm supposed to keep up. It's like I'm living in a system that isn't built for someone like me, someone who is trying to do everything right. I budget, I save when I can, and I skip meals to make sure the bills get paid. But it's never enough. No matter how careful I am, I feel like I'm always one step away from losing control. It's exhausting, emotionally and mentally draining. There's always this low hum of anxiety, like background noise, always there, reminding me that things are tight. I try to manage my expectations, but it's hard not to feel like I'm failing when everyone around me seems to be moving forward. Social media doesn't help. Every time I scroll through my feed, I see friends traveling, buying houses, getting engaged, all of them moving forward, checking things off their lists. Meanwhile, I'm stuck, wondering if I'll even have enough to buy groceries this week. It's not like I don't want to move forward. I have dreams. I've always wanted to travel, to explore new places, to experience life outside of this small bubble where I feel so suffocated. But traveling feels like something I can't even imagine anymore. I can't remember the last time I spent money on something that wasn't a necessity. I haven't been able to take a real vacation in years, and when I close my eyes and try to picture what it would feel like, I can't help but feel like it's out of reach. So, I put it out of my mind. There's no point in dwelling on it. I know that I should be grateful for what I have. I have a job, a place to live, a car that still runs. There are people in far worse situations than mine, and I know that. But that doesn't stop the feeling of being stuck, of constantly watching expenses grow faster than my income. I work long hours, often taking on side jobs just to make ends meet, but it feels like it's never enough. I thought when I graduated, I would be climbing up the ladder, getting closer to my dreams. But instead, it feels like I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, and nothing is changing. The hardest part, though, isn't the constant juggling of bills or the stress of figuring out how to make ends meet. It's the emotional toll. The feeling of isolation, of not being able to ask for help without feeling like I'm admitting failure. I keep telling myself that I'll be okay, that this is just a temporary phase. But it's hard to keep believing that when every day feels like a battle just to get by. I postponed so many things, plans to go back to school, a desire to move to a bigger city for better opportunities, even simple things like buying clothes that fit or going out with friends. Every time I put something off, I tell myself that I'll get to it eventually, but eventually never seems to come. I try to cope by burying myself in work, hoping that if I just keep my head down, if I keep pushing forward, something will give. but it never does. I've learned to put on a mask, to smile and pretend that I have it together when inside, I'm terrified that one wrong move will send everything crashing down. When people ask how I'm doing, I say fine, even though I'm anything but. Sometimes, I wonder if they can see through it, if they can tell that I'm barely holding it together. I try to distract myself by focusing on small victories. I've learned to cook on a budget, to get creative with what I have in my pantry. I've started using public transportation more often to save on gas, and I've stopped ordering takeout, even though it's one of the few things that used to bring me comfort. These little things, these small victories, are what get me through the day. But they don't change the bigger picture. They don't change the fact that my dreams feel more and more distant with each passing day. I still hold on to hope, though. Maybe it's naive, but I try to remind myself that someday things will change. Maybe I'll get that raise, or maybe I'll find a job that pays better and gives me the flexibility I need. But it's hard to hold on to hope when you're constantly struggling just to stay afloat. I don't know what the future holds. There are days when I wonder if it will ever get better, or if this is just the reality of adulthood. There are days when I feel like I'm doing everything right, yet still falling short. I've learned that life doesn't always go the way you plan, and that sometimes, no matter how hard you try, the world just keeps pushing against you. But still, I keep going. I keep waking up every day and doing what I can, even when it feels impossible. I remind myself that I'm strong, that I've gotten through tough times before, and that this is just another chapter, no matter how overwhelming it feels. One day, I hope things will shift. But for now, all I can do is keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when the weight of it all feels unbearable. I wake up to the familiar sound of my alarm, but it's not just the sound of a morning greeting. It's a reminder. A reminder that I have to face another day of this relentless grind. The same grind that I've been caught in for as long as I can remember. The grind of balancing bills that never stop arriving with a paycheck that seems to stretch thinner every month. I roll out of bed, feeling the weight of my own exhaustion. It's not physical fatigue, though there's plenty of that, but the kind that settles into your chest, the kind that feels like I've been living in an economy I can't keep up with. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. A quick check reveals a few messages, but none are urgent. Just the usual, a reminder from my bank about an upcoming bill, a message from a friend about getting together, and then a notification from an app telling me I've earned a reward. I know that the reward they're talking about isn't going to help me pay rent or buy groceries. But it's another reminder of how things used to feel. Before everything started feeling like it was slipping away. Getting dressed is a chore these days. I open my closet and glance at the clothes, but nothing feels right. There's no excitement about what I'm putting on anymore, no joy in picking something that feels like me. Instead, I'm just choosing what's clean or least wrinkled, what I can wear to get by without drawing too much attention. My job isn't glamorous, and it doesn't come with the satisfaction I thought it would. But it's what I've got. And I'm grateful for it. Or at least I try to be. I walk to the kitchen, where the coffee maker sits on the counter, the last luxury I allow myself before I head out the door. As the coffee brews, I feel the knot in my stomach tighten. The bills are due again. The student loan, the phone bill, the rent, the credit card payments. Every month, the same song and dance. They all keep climbing higher, faster, while my income stays mostly stagnant. I've tried to pick up side gigs, but it's never enough. I think about how much money I could save if I didn't have to pay for health insurance, or if I didn't have that pesky subscription service eating up what little discretionary income one have left. But those thoughts don't help. They're just more pressure, more reminders that I'm stuck. I grab the coffee and head out the door, the mug feeling like the only thing grounding me. I pass the same rundown corner store on my way to the bus stop, and my mind goes to the price of a gallon of milk, how it's gone up again. Everything has gone up, hasn't it? The gas to get me to work, the price of produce, the utility bills that seem to grow despite using less. It's not even like I'm trying to live luxuriously. I just want to live. Just once, to feel like I'm not drowning in an ocean of costs. I catch the bus and settle into a seat, watching the world blur by. The thought crosses my mind that I could leave all of this behind, move to a different city, try something new, start over. But even that feels like a fantasy. Moving costs money. Moving means giving up what little stability I have left. I don't know how to make those dreams a reality, so I push them aside. I'll think about them later. Maybe in another life. At work, the day drags on. I try to focus, but my mind keeps slipping. I calculate how much I have in my bank account, check the balance on my credit card. I consider whether I can skip buying lunch today to save a few dollars, but that only gets me so far. The emotional toll is the hardest part, though. There's this constant feeling of inadequacy, like I'm somehow failing because I can't get ahead, can't keep up. It's not that I'm lazy or not trying, I am. But the rules of this economy don't work for people like me. They're built for those who already have wealth or privilege, not for those of us who are just trying to catch up, to stay afloat. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted, not just physically, but mentally. I don't have the energy to cook, so I grab takeout. Another expense I can't really afford, but it feels like the one thing I can do to ease the day. I sit in front of the TV and mindlessly scroll through social media, seeing friends posting pictures of vacations, new apartments, new cars. It's hard not to feel bitter. How is it that they seem to have everything figured out while I'm stuck just trying to make it to the end of the month? When the food's gone and the evening settles in, I start to reflect on the things I've had to give up. The dreams I've had to let go. I wanted to go back to school, to finish that degree that I started and never finished because life got in the way. But with the way things are, I can't afford the tuition, and even if I could, I'd have no time. Between work and a constant battle of keeping up with expenses, I feel like I've lost sight of who I am and what I wanted out of life. I think about my future, about whether I'll ever get to a place where I can just breathe, where the weight of money doesn't always feel like it's bearing down on me. I dream of having enough to travel, to see new places, to start a family without feeling like I'm always a step away from financial disaster. But those dreams feel so far out of reach now. I've had to scale back, shrink my aspirations just to make sure I don't end up drowning in debt. Lately, the feeling of being trapped is overwhelming. Like there's no way out of this cycle. The bills, the payments, the constant hustle. It's like a wheel that keeps spinning faster, but no matter how hard I push, I can't get ahead. I can't even seem to break even. But I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this. That there are others out there struggling, too. Sometimes, that's the only thing that keeps me from losing hope entirely. If we're all stuck, maybe that's the best we can do right now. But I want more than just getting by. I want a life that feels like it belongs to me, not just to the economy that dictates every decision I make. I want to dream again, to believe that one day, I won't feel trapped in this system. But for now, I'll wake up tomorrow, pour my coffee, and face another day. Because that's what we do, right? We keep going, even when everything feels like it's stacked against us. Even when we're just trying to survive, we keep moving. Because what else is there to do? There are days when I wake up and feel the weight of everything pressing down on me before I even open my eyes. The sound of my alarm, the feeling of the cold sheets tangled around me, and the dull ache of knowing I'm going to spend another day just trying to survive. It's not that I don't want to fight. It's not that I don't dream of something better. It's just that it feels like my efforts are always running in place, like the ground beneath me is constantly shifting and I'm just trying not to fall. I'm 25, trying to build a life. I've been working full-time since I graduated, but no matter how hard I work, it feels like every paycheck is already gone before I even get it. Rent is a monster that eats up most of it, and then there are the utilities, gas, water, electricity. I don't even want to talk about the internet bill or my phone bill. And that's before food, transportation, or the rare moment I get to do something to feel like a human and not a robot. The thing is, I don't even remember when it started feeling like this. When did adulting stop being a series of small challenges and start becoming this unrelenting cycle of stress? It's almost like I can track the moments in time when I was naive enough to think that someday things would get easier. But the further I go, the more I realize that easier is a myth sold to me by people who were either born with a silver spoon or just really good at pretending they weren't struggling. I remember when I got my first job out of college, this great opportunity at a marketing firm. The kind of job everyone says will set you up for life. And at first, I was thrilled. It felt like a huge win, like I had finally figured it out. But no one told me how quickly expenses would inflate. No one told me that even though my salary went up slightly each year, it would be devoured by the increasing cost of living. I'm still at that job. I'm good at it, even though it sometimes feels like I'm drowning in responsibilities that weren't even part of the original deal. My boss doesn't seem to understand why I'm always behind, why I don't have the time or energy to stay late for that extra credit work that gets promised as the path to promotion. I'm always tired, always anxious, always trying to balance. But I can never seem to get ahead. I was hopeful in the beginning. I thought I would be able to do everything they said, get my own place, pay off student loans, save a little for travel. But instead, the weight of debt has only grown. The student loan interest keeps climbing, and I watch helplessly as my payments do little to put a dent in the principal. I've had to put off getting a new car, or even just fixing the one I have. I can't take a vacation because the thought of spending money on anything that isn't absolutely essential feels reckless. And still, there are bills to pay. There are moments when I think about all the things I'll do when I have money, when I can go out for dinner with friends without guilt or maybe treat myself to a weekend getaway, but those moments feel so far away. I cope with the pressure in small ways. Sometimes, I'll make a list of what I can afford: coffee from that local shop I love, an old book I've been eyeing for weeks, or a cheap lunch from a food truck down the street. I let myself enjoy those small things because they're the only things that feel like a win. But even those feel fleeting. The joy is short-lived when I remember how much I'll have to scrape together for rent at the end of the month. Other times, I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this. Everyone's struggling, right? Everyone feels the weight of inflation, the rising costs of everything from groceries to gas. It's just the way the world works. Everyone's got their own version of this, and maybe we all just have to keep pushing through until things get better. But the more I look around, the more I realize that everyone's version looks a little different. Some people have parents who can help them, some people have roommates to split rent with, or others get access to opportunities that I can only dream of. And it hurts. I try not to let it, but sometimes it feels like I'm constantly falling behind, constantly watching the finish line move further away. Emotionally, it's exhausting. Some days, I wake up and immediately start planning how I'm going to get through the day, mentally bracing myself for the next task, the next challenge. Sometimes it feels like a game, trying to outsmart the system, trying to find ways to make the budget stretch. But there's a limit to how far I can push. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, every expense feels like a potential catastrophe. I've had nights where I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. What if my car breaks down? What if I get sick and can't work? What if something happens and I'm suddenly without an income? I've even started putting off things that bring me joy, plans with friends, hobbies I used to love, because there's just no room for them anymore. I'm stuck in this loop of constantly thinking about money, constantly trying to make sure the bills get paid, that I don't fall further into debt. And it feels like I'm losing pieces of myself. The dreams I used to have, of traveling the world, of owning a home, of not worrying about money, are on hold. I tell myself they're just dreams for now, that they're not realistic with the way things are. Maybe one day, when I have more time, more money, maybe then I'll do those things. But I can't help but wonder if that day will ever come. Sometimes I think about what the future holds. I try to picture myself in 5 years, 10 years, but it's hard. I can't see beyond the next bill that's due, the next payment I have to make. And I know that's not healthy. I know I'm supposed to have a vision for my life, a direction. But it feels like I'm so wrapped up in survival that I don't know how to even begin to dream again. I don't know what I'll be doing in the future. What I do know is that I'll still be working, still be paying bills, and still be hoping for a break that may never come. I try to hold on to hope, try to believe that things will get better, that one day the weight will lighten. But it's hard to feel optimistic when every corner I turn seems to bring another financial hurdle. And so, I keep pushing forward, doing what I can, taking things one day at a time. There's no other choice, really. Maybe that's all I can do for now, survive, hold on, and keep hoping that something will change. Because that's the only thing I can control, even if it feels like the odds are stacked against me. Maybe I'll make it out. Maybe I won't. But for now, I keep going. Because what else is there? I woke up late again, the sunlight creeping in through the cracks in the blinds. My head was pounding. I didn't sleep much last night, didn't sleep much most nights anymore. It's hard to shut off my mind when I know there's a mountain of bills waiting for me, a mountain I'm always scrambling to climb. But every time I make progress, I look up and see it's only gotten higher. It's the same cycle over and over. I wake up, check my bank account, get a little pang of disappointment, and then rush to get ready for work, already dreading the day ahead. The thing is, I don't actually mind my job. It's not the work I hate, it's everything else, the constant tension of not having enough, of feeling like I'm losing ground every time I take a step forward. I'm 26. I have a degree, I've been working full-time since graduation, and yet somehow, I feel like I'm still stuck. It's like the world is moving ahead, and I'm just trying to hold on. Every paycheck feels like a temporary band-aid on a much deeper wound. My rent keeps increasing, and every month, I scrape by to cover it. The student loan payments are relentless, and they're not going away anytime soon. Then there's the electricity bill, the grocery bills that somehow never seem to stay within the budget, and the credit card payments I keep putting off. People say to cut back on unnecessary things, to budget better, but it feels like I already am. I pack my lunch every day, never eat out, don't buy clothes unless they're absolutely necessary. I've stopped doing most things I used to enjoy. I tell myself I can't afford to go to the movies, to hang out with friends, to travel. There's always something else that takes priority. The bills are constant, the expenses endless, and my income? It never quite matches up. It's exhausting. Some days, I just want to scream. I want to shake the universe and say, is this it? Is this all there is? But even if I did scream, I don't think it would change anything. The world is moving faster, and I'm stuck, trying to keep up, feeling smaller with every passing year. And then there's the loneliness that comes with it. It's not that I'm alone, I have family, friends, a support system, but there's a quiet, nagging loneliness that settles in when you realize you're not living the life you imagined. You see other people moving forward with ease, buying houses, taking vacations, posting pictures of their shiny new cars, their happy families. It's like they're on a different track, one that I can't seem to catch up to. I feel like I'm always playing catch up, like I'm always 2 steps behind, always telling myself, next year will be different. I used to have dreams. I used to imagine traveling the world, seeing places I've only ever read about, living in a city where I could thrive. I dreamt of saving enough to buy a house, to have a little space I could call my own, to build a life that felt stable, like I was finally on my feet. But that version of the future feels like a distant memory now, fading into something unreachable. Instead of planning trips to Europe or weekend getaways, I'm figuring out how to make my paycheck last until the next one. I can't remember the last time I bought something for fun, a new pair of shoes, a book, a meal out with friends. I think I've forgotten what it feels like to just enjoy life without thinking about the cost. I cope by burying myself in work, pretending I'm not anxious about the future. I tell myself, I'll keep working, I'll keep pushing forward, and eventually, things will get better. But deep down, I'm scared that they won't. I'm scared that this is as good as it's going to get. The truth is, I'm so tired. I'm tired of wondering if I'll make it through the next few years. I'm tired of feeling like I'm fighting against something I can't control. And I'm especially tired of telling myself that everything will be okay when I don't believe it anymore. Sometimes, I think about giving up. Just walking away, leaving everything behind, and trying to start over somewhere else. But then I remember the bills. The loans. The credit card debt. They're like anchors, holding me in place, reminding me that I can't just escape. No matter where I go, I can't outrun the weight of all this financial pressure. I used to imagine that by this point in my life, I'd have some sense of security, a feeling of stability. But instead, I feel like I'm always running in place, always trying to stay afloat in a world that's moving too fast. I look at my friends, and they seem to have it all together. They're building careers, buying homes, starting families. And here I am, trying to figure out how to pay for a basic necessity without having to dip into my savings or, worse, my credit card. I hate feeling like I'm failing. I hate the shame that comes with it, the shame of not living up to the expectations I set for myself and the ones others set for me. But even though I'm overwhelmed, I keep going. I can't stop now. I have to believe that things will improve eventually. I have to believe that there's a way out of this. I don't know how, and I don't know when, but I can't just give up. I can't let these pressures crush me. So, I wake up every day, take a deep breath, and get on with it. One step forward, even if it's just barely moving. Maybe one day, I'll be able to look back on all of this and see it as a part of the journey, a story of how I overcame what felt impossible. Until then, I'll keep holding on, even if I don't always know how. I'm 23, and sometimes it feels like I've been drowning in this weight of constant financial pressure my entire life. Maybe that's dramatic, but I swear, every day feels like a battle, one I'm always losing, no matter how hard I try. I've read articles about how millennials are struggling, how Gen Z is being crushed by rising rents and student loans. But reading those articles didn't prepare me for how personal it would feel. They don't tell you how it feels to wake up every morning with the same pit in your stomach, knowing you have to face another day of trying to make ends meet when it feels like the world is conspiring against you. I work full-time at a marketing firm, nothing glamorous, but I'm grateful for the job. My paychecks come every 2 weeks, but it's never enough to feel like I'm moving forward. I try to stick to a budget, but every time I think I've got a handle on it, something unexpected happens. A flat tire, a medical bill, the fact that food prices have gone up again, small things that feel like huge setbacks when you're already scraping by. It's not like I'm living lavishly. I've cut out all the luxuries, the little pleasures that I used to enjoy. No more spontaneous dinners out with friends, no more weekend trips. Instead, I find myself saying no to invitations because I can't afford to spend anything extra. Sometimes I just tell myself I'll make it up next month, but that's a lie I've been telling myself for years. Next month always seems to come with a new set of expenses that push me back further, and I feel like I'm stuck in this endless loop. The more I try to keep up, the further behind I get. I get anxious a lot. Maybe it's the bills stacking up in my inbox, or the fact that the credit card balance never goes down no matter how hard I try. I'm doing everything right, paying off what I can, putting aside a small emergency fund, but every month, I feel the pressure building. It's like my expenses are growing faster than my income, and I'm just running in place, getting tired, getting worn out. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to just stop. To just not care about the future, to stop worrying about bills and responsibilities and just live. But then I snap back to reality and remind myself that there's no room for that kind of thinking. Life's too expensive. The world doesn't stop just because I'm tired. I'm tired of feeling trapped, of having to think twice about buying something as simple as a cup of coffee. That might sound trivial, but it's the constant small decisions that wear you down. Every time I walk into a store, I see something I might like, but I have to remind myself that it's not worth it. Even things like a movie ticket or a night out with friends feel like luxuries now. I remember when I used to enjoy the occasional splurge, but now I just feel guilty every time I spend money, even on things I need. I guess that's what really gets to me. The guilt. The constant second-guessing. Am I making the right decisions? Is this what my future is supposed to look like? Should I be doing more? Should I be saving more? Should I have figured all of this out by now? I feel like there's some invisible scale that I'm supposed to measure up to, and every day I fall short. Every day, I see people around me, people my age or younger, who seem to have it all together. They've bought houses, they're traveling, they're living lives that I can only dream about. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to figure out how to pay my rent this month without overdrawing my account. It's hard not to get frustrated. I know I'm doing everything I can. I go into work every day, I'm diligent, I stay late when I need to, I don't take sick days unless I absolutely have to. But it's like no matter how hard I try, the gaps just keep growing. The more I do, the further behind I get. My friends and family tell me to just keep pushing, to keep working hard, that things will get better eventually. But the truth is, I'm tired of waiting for someday. I used to dream about what my life would look like in my 20s. I thought I'd have a career, maybe a place of my own, freedom to make my own decisions. I thought I'd be able to do things, travel, invest in hobbies, maybe even take a couple of years to figure out what I wanted to do with my life without constantly feeling like I was going to drown in debt. But now, every decision feels like a compromise. I postponed so many dreams. I put off buying a car because I can't afford the insurance. I put off going back to school because I don't have the money for tuition. I put off having a social life because I can't afford to hang out with friends. All of these little pieces of my life are slipping away, and all I can do is watch. And the worst part? I feel like the world is moving forward without me. I see people taking out loans to start businesses, buying homes in neighborhoods I can't even afford to visit, and living these lives that I can't even begin to imagine. And it's not that I'm envious, well, maybe I am a little, but mostly it's this overwhelming sense of isolation. Like I'm stuck in a bubble that I can't break out of, where everything is out of reach. I've started to resent how normal it's become to just struggle. To not have the things I thought I'd have by now. My social media feed is full of people posting about their new apartments, their vacations, their perfect lives, and it's hard not to wonder if I'll ever get there. Or if this is just the way life is now. A constant balancing act where I'm always walking on the edge, trying not to fall. But I guess what keeps me going is the hope that one day, things might change. That if I keep pushing, keep working, there'll be some kind of break. I don't know what that break will look like, but I hold on to that hope like it's a lifeline. It's all I have right now. That someday, maybe I'll be able to breathe without feeling like I'm running out of air. Maybe I'll finally feel like I'm not trapped in a system that's too big for me to navigate. Until then, I'm just trying to keep moving forward. One foot in front of the other. One day at a time. And hoping that, someday, I'll look back and be able to say that it was worth it. That the struggle led to something more. Because right now, that's all I can do. Keep dreaming, keep hoping, keep surviving. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Also, leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.